that motor oil, yeah, I'm gonna want all of that. You know, when you think about the amount of motor oil necessary for all combustion vehicles to be able to run, there's a lot of it in the engines of those that have a vehicle. Yeah. See, when you have the availability of very high temperatures, let's say up to 4,000 degrees, an HHO gas generator. Yes. I can take some sand and some used glass from one of these self-haul sites. Yeah. And then I heat it up and I make it into a very long test tube. Yes. It's probably 100 yards long. And then I dump the oil into it. Yes. And then as it travels down the test tube, I heat the motor oil up. Yes. To greater and greater temperatures, starting at about the point of boiling. To the end of it, where there's just this minuscule residue of motor oil at the end at 4,000 degrees. Now, along this test tube, I put openings that go to a container that is used to contain the gas. Yes. So that I can reuse it in various types of fuels, plastic products, and other ideas. Now, I'm going to want all the used motor oil today. Do you understand? See, when you take a liquid, yes, that is known as motor oil, that has been used in a vehicle, and you kind of just pour it in the front of the test tube, yes, and you got about 10 different openings. It's kind of a vacuum seal, yes. And as it goes through that 100 yards, it increases in temperature, yes, so that the end result of the used motor oil, yes, is just this molecular compound. It's good enough to throw in the garbage, yes. No harmful effects, no. Now, when we take apart all the used motor oil today, phew, I want to know what gases are released at 100 or 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes. Then 400, and then 600, then 800, all the way up to 4,000 degrees. Now, for those in the military that do drive a tank, yeah, you got one of these trucks that you drive, yeah, I'm going to want the military's used motor oil, yes, and I'm going to want it every location of the United States. Now, let's say you're in another military. You're over there. You could be in France, Germany, yes, India. Oh, maybe even the English have an army. I'm going to want to know every location for the last 200 years. Yeah. Or you said, well, that land is for the military, though we're not using it right now. About 5 years ago, I wanted to know every location that the United States military had to have use of, yes, for any of the wars that they fought, yes, since, about early 1800s, 1812 war. See, when you take land, yes, because the military says we have need of it, and now they're no longer using it. It used to be that you could lease that land, but now, I would say if you're not using it, I'm going to sue you for the actual asset that it's been named in the military as having ownership of it. So I'm going to want every piece of property, yes, that the United States military had to have, yes, in the 200 years of this great nation, that they no longer have a base on, yes, or any items. Yes. Now let's say you have something underneath it. Would you get me the Pentagon? Now, I'm going to want ownership of all that land that you used to use for any of the wars that we fought for the last 200 years. And then for all the bases that said, well, this is our base, yes, the joint bases throughout this nation, yeah, you will not be able to move from your base right now.